Although some organizations do have you sign a document that says you received
Yes.
the materials, so that you have proof that they received it and they can't say, I never got that, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. All right, quickly, post-termination issues. We talked a little bit about unemployment insurance, just understanding what that is. We have a lot of clients who are surprised by, well, you know, it was so clear that this person's not entitled to it, and I got this thing that they applied for it, now what do I do? And there is an appeal process where they submit their request, you submit your counter documents, and then there's a hearing, it's usually telephonically, where they make their case, you make your case, and then the judge decides whether they qualify. So just understand that you want to have the documentation to support that if you are going to appeal any request for unemployment insurance.
But, you know, the issue on appeal is always, when you're contesting it, is because you don't want your experience rate to go up.
That's right.
But, you know, I could never tell that there's any connection.
Between your experience rate?
The experience rate and actually letting somebody off or firing somebody.
Well, I think that.
I've had a tough time tracking it.
Yeah, I don't know that it's, you know, one for one by any stretch, but we've had clients who have seasonal employees, for example, and for them to bring on, 25 people at the beginning of the season and lay off 25 people at the end of the season that then all qualify for unemployment, that's a huge hit for them.
I've seen that,
So.
but on individual,
Yeah.
Once in a while, laying somebody off is not gonna show up.
And it's going to depend on the industry as well, because the rating is based on the industry, trends in that industry, and then your specific situation. But if you have people coming in and out, you'll definitely see it. But for one person, less so. Other legal considerations, one of the things that we're seeing a lot of right now are questions about, I had an employee leave and now they're posting all this, false statements on the internet. How do I deal with that? How do I get that off? How do I remove it? In a lot of cases, you can't. I mean, a lot of places are not going to pull down content unless you can prove that it's false, which is difficult to do and time consuming. So your policy of non-interference and no slander or defamation is important. Have that as part of these restrictive covenants so that it's clear that they've agreed to not posting any false statements. You can't get them to stop talking about your business. And then we've had folks who say, well, okay, I can't get YouTube to take down this, and this was an example of either a competitor or an unhappy client who put a video of this person's product out there showing it breaking and doing all these things, and she said, it can't do that. You can't make it do that unless you're, forcing it. So how do I deal with that? Well, YouTube's not going to take it down, period, unless you can prove that it is a competitor or something like that. So a lot of times your best defense is effective offense. So you go and you build content that is positive content that just pushes that thing down as far as you can possibly push it as far as results go. So the strategy for dealing with that, one is to have it in writing, have your employees agree to that non-interference, no false statements, and then understanding what the tools that they might have available are on the internet and making sure that you've got a strategy to counter those.
I think another piece of it too is how you treat them in that exit process makes a big difference on whether they go out and start lambasting. When you treat them with respect, integrity, you provide them a reasonable release based upon the reasoning. Most people are going to be pretty respectful of the situation, and I'll also just throw out, a lot of times outplacement can be really effective in trying to mitigate some of these issues of people going out and blasting it. So it's really thinking through that process in a way to minimize that public outcry. I know when I was in outplacement, we immediately coach people, don't go out there and lambast your organization. It's only going to hurt you to find another job because your name is associated with that. And like we talked about, you're going to go Google them and see, oh my gosh, they're just so horrible about their past company. What would they do to me? Why would I hire that person? So there is a process that you are going through that can really mitigate that risk.
So we are at 9:30, so we're going to go to this last point real quick. And want to wrap it up?
Yeah, so I think, we all know what Jane learned. She learned the hard way, what we're obviously learning today over a cup of coffee, that we need to plan ahead for our hiring needs so that we're hiring the right people, that we're being thoughtful about who we're bringing on board, when we're bringing them on board, and we need to not rush that interview and hiring process. You may say you want that person on board 2 days ago because you were absolutely swamped, But the time and effort that we will all have to put into managing and supervising the wrong hire is more effort than you would have to put into doing that job while you spend the time still looking for the right person. And make the smart hiring decisions. And we all know who's the smart ones. We oftentimes can feel it in our gut when this person isn't the right one. And look at your criteria. Figure out where it is that the gut is going, what is they're telling you, and make the smart decision. And set clear expectations. Communicate, communicate, communicate. The more you let people know exactly what they need to be doing, the more you have the opportunity to document where expectations aren't met, and you have a clear path in order to move forward. And then if you've got to move forward with termination, do it effectively. Have your documentation, know exactly why you're doing it, treat that person well, and have an honest conversation.